We begin this story not with shock, but with a quiet breath, because after everything we and the fans have lived through with General Hospital, shock has slowly turned into reflection. Looking back at 2025, we cannot deny that it was a year heavy with loss. A year that forced us to confront how fragile even our most beloved fictional worlds truly are. We watched storylines unfold, characters clash and reconcile, but behind the scenes, reality crept in with a cruelty that no script could soften. Actors who helped build the soul of General Hospital left us forever, and their absence changed the way we look at the show, possibly changed the way the show looks at itself. Over the past year, we and the fans were asked to say goodbye far too many times. Leslie Charleson, Tristan Rogers, Anthony Geary, even writing their names together feels unreal, like a list that should never exist. We pause and ask ourselves if there were others. If grief has blurred our memory because it came in waves rather than all at once. We are not entirely sure, and that uncertainty itself feels painful. What we do know is that each of them carried decades of history within General Hospital. They were not just performers delivering lines. They were anchors. They were emotional landmarks that helped define what Port Charles meant to us. We remember Leslie Charleson not only for her presence on screen, but for the sense of stability she represented. When she appeared, there was an unspoken promise that no matter how chaotic the plot became, there was still a core holding everything together. Her passing left a silence that could not be filled by recasting or rewriting. It was a silence that lingered between scenes, one that attentive viewers could feel even when her character was not mentioned. We grieved her not just as fans, but as people who had grown up alongside her work. Then there was Tristan Rogers. For many of us, Robert Scorpio was never simply a character. He was a force. He was intelligence mixed with charm, danger softened by loyalty. When news broke that Tristan Rogers had passed away in real life, the line between fiction and reality blurred in a way that felt almost cruel. We knew, logically, that General Hospital films episodes in advance. We understood that Robert would still appear on screen for a while longer. Yet that knowledge did not make it easier. Each scene felt heavier, each line more final, because we were watching a goodbye unfold in slow motion. We find ourselves thinking about how General Hospital has always handled loss within its universe. Sometimes with grand, emotional arcs. Sometimes with quiet dignity. In Tristan Rogers' case, we're left waiting. Waiting for confirmation. Waiting for closure. Waiting for a tribute that feels worthy of what he gave to the show and to us. According to the latest whispers and behind-the-scenes hints we have received, it seems likely that there will be a memorial episode dedicated to him. Possibly it will air alongside Robert's final episode. Possibly it will stand alone. We do not know for sure, and that uncertainty keeps us on edge. What complicates matters is that, as of now, we do not even know whether Robert's final episode has already aired or is still waiting to be broadcast. That limbo is emotionally exhausting. We watch each episode carefully, wondering if this is the last time we will see him walk into a room, deliver a knowing look, or offer quiet support to another character. The idea that one episode could suddenly become his last, without warning, feels unsettling. And yet, we trust that General Hospital understands what this moment means. We believe the show knows that Tristan Rogers deserves more than a passing mention or a brief title card. He deserves reflection. He deserves space. He deserves an episode where the characters, and by extension the audience, are allowed to grieve together. Hypothetically, such an episode could weave memories into the present, letting Robert's legacy echo through conversations and flashbacks. It could show how his influence shaped Port Charles, how his absence leaves a mark that cannot simply be erased. We hope for this not because we demand it, but because it feels necessary. As we wait for answers, we cannot ignore the weight of another loss that still feels raw: Anthony Geary. His connection to General Hospital runs so deep that it is difficult to separate the man from the myth of Luke Spencer. When fans think of Luke, they do not think of a single storyline or romance. They think of an era. They think of risk, rebellion, and emotional complexity that pushed daytime television into new territory. Anthony Geary did not just play Luke. He transformed what a soap opera leading man could be. We remember his farewell from General Hospital, that deeply emotional goodbye that felt both final and strangely unfinished. At the time, it was framed as Luke saying goodbye to Port Charles, stepping away into the unknown. Many of us understood it as Anthony Geary stepping back from the role that defined so much of his career. Yet now, with his passing, that scene takes on an entirely different meaning. It feels prophetic in a way that is hard to articulate. We look back and realize that goodbye was not just scripted. It was layered with something more profound. Naturally, this leads us to wonder whether General Hospital will also honor Anthony Geary with a memorial episode. Possibly they will. Possibly they already have plans quietly in motion. Or possibly they will choose a more understated approach, trusting that Luke's legacy speaks for itself. We cannot say. What we can say is that fans are watching closely. We are listening for clues, reading between the lines of every press release, every interview, every subtle shift in storytelling. The idea that both Tristan Rogers and Anthony Geary could be honored in the same episode is something we have discussed among ourselves. On one hand, it could be powerful, a shared tribute to two men whose characters define different but equally important corners of Port Charles. On the other hand, it might feel too compressed, too heavy for a single hour of television. Each of them deserves space. Each of them deserves to be remembered fully, not as part of a list, but as individuals whose work left distinct marks on the show. We understand that these decisions are not simple. General Hospital is not just a tribute machine. It is an ongoing narrative with current storylines, ratings pressures, and production realities. Yet this is where the heart of the show has always mattered most. When General Hospital pauses to honor its past, it reminds us why we care so deeply. It reminds us that this is not just entertainment. It is a shared emotional history. As fans, we also acknowledge the inevitability of loss. No one escapes the cycle of birth, aging, illness, and death. This is a truth older than any television show, older than storytelling itself. We accept it intellectually, but emotionally it never gets easier. Each loss reopens old wounds. Each farewell reminds us that time is moving forward whether we are ready or not. In that sense, General Hospital mirrors life more closely than we sometimes realize. What makes these recent losses particularly painful is how intertwined these actors were with our own lives. Many of us grew up watching them. Some of us watched alongside parents or grandparents who are no longer here themselves. These characters became emotional reference points, markers of different stages in our lives. Losing the actors who portrayed them feels like losing pieces of our own history. As we reflect on Tristan Rogers and Anthony Geary, we also reflect on how General Hospital has changed over time. The show we watch today is not the same show it was decades ago, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. Evolution is necessary for survival. But there is something grounding about honoring the people who built the foundation. Without them, there would be no present version of the show to debate, critique, or love. We imagine, hypothetically, a future episode where characters gather not just to mourn, but to tell stories. Stories of Robert's bravery, Luke's recklessness, the ways they challenged authority and protected those they loved. Such an episode would not need to be overly dramatic. It would simply need to be honest. Honest about loss. Honest about gratitude. Honest about the complicated emotions that come with saying goodbye to icons. Until then, we wait. We wait with patience, though patience is not easy when emotions are involved. We wait for official confirmation from General Hospital, knowing that speculation can only carry us so far. We remind ourselves that the show has surprised us before, sometimes in ways that exceeded our expectations. We hold on to the hope that when the time comes, the tribute will feel earned. In the meantime, we continue to watch. We continue to care. We continue to talk among ourselves and with other fans, sharing memories and favorite scenes. In doing so, we keep these actors alive in the way that matters most. Their work continues to resonate. Their characters continue to exist in reruns, clips, and conversations. Death may close a chapter, but does not erase what came before. As this chapter of General Hospital history settles into memory, we find ourselves both grieving and grateful. Grieving for what we have lost. Grateful for what we were given. The year 2025 will always stand out as a turning point. A reminder that even the longest-running stories are shaped by real people with real lives and real endings. We end this reflection not with certainty, but with quiet resolve. Whatever General Hospital chooses to do next, whether memorial episodes arrive sooner or later, whether they come together or stand apart, we will be watching. We will be remembering. And we will be honoring the legacy of Leslie Charleson, Tristan Rogers, and Anthony Geary in the only way fans truly can, by caring deeply, even when it hurts.